And when I say, I've already used the term a few times already, what do I mean by gay Christianity? Well, gay Christianity is the attempt to reconcile homosexuality and the LGBT movement with the Christian faith. It's a way of categorizing this collective push in a certain direction, within a certain sphere, and toward a certain goal. So that direction is toward the normalization of LGBTQ+. And that plus includes a lot of additional labels and titles within it. So the sphere in which this is happening is within the church or within the broader vein of Christian thinking. And then the goal is one of reconciling. So what does it mean to reconcile? And this is an important point. The point of reconciling is to take two things that were once in conflict and to bring them into harmony with each other. And that's what's being attempted here. The LGBT movement is trying to be brought in and made somehow compatible and harmonious with the Christian faith. Now, I realize that when I say LGBTQ movement and the Christian faith, those are both actually huge, multifaceted categories that have a lot of bits and pieces to them, a lot of detail, and a lot of ways that individuals connect with those ideas. So with the Christian faith, what I mean is the body of beliefs, practices, and values rooted in Scripture that have defined the Christian church and her people throughout history. So there may be individual ways in which you experience that, but this isn't just about your personal faith in Jesus Christ or even the way your local church acts. This is the overall witness of the Christian church. You know, this is what it means by the faith once for all delivered to the saints. So what's the purpose of the Christian faith? Well, it's to make Christ known. It's the gospel, making disciples, teaching them to observe all that I've commanded you, Christ said in Matthew chapter 28. And then to bring Ephesians 4 verse 13 in alongside that, till we all come to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to the perfect man, to the measure, the stature, the fullness of Christ. Do we always achieve that perfectly as churches or as individual Christians? No, but that's what we're striving for. And we know that as the Spirit empowers us, that's our goal, that's our purpose. And we're cultivating all of these fruits of the Spirit within us as part of this discipling and growing together in grace. So then the LGBTQ plus movement, I can define it as the body of beliefs, practices, and values rooted in sinful desires that define to some degree those who identify as LGBTQ+, and their allies, those who are promoting this or coming alongside or, those kinds of things. That's the ally language that comes up within this. And the goal there is to bring about a political change. Okay, we often shy away because we think, should we really talk about politics in this? Because that seems to be the rub, right? I mean, the hatred of this seems to swell around a political goal. Well, that's because when you reject God and you trust in yourself, the only way to have a different outcome in society is to force society to change from a political angle. Like Pastor Derek was just sharing, when all you have is hope in this present world, then only the means within this present world can accomplish that goal. That's why there's such a dense and seething turmoil at the political end of this conversation. And what is the ultimate purpose within this LGBTQ plus group, which, it should be just stated, it's not a group that's unified in terms of its individual goals. The L and the B and the G and the T and the Q are not all happily unified. I mean, even lesbians, and there's a whole discussion online between whether even the language of bisexuality is something that we should accept, because it obviously, even within its term, it sets up a binary of gender. And so there's obvious turmoil and animosity even within this group over certain particular issues, but there is a unified political purpose behind this grouping together. And we can recognize that. And the purpose is this: the normalization and celebration of whatever is attached to LGBTQ+. Whatever is attached to it. needs to be normalized and celebrated. So obviously, I set up, I gave the definitions, right? I'm making it sound like I'm aligning them together so that you can see that these are competing religions and that they're utterly incompatible because the Bible is against homosexuality, and the attempt to express these things and push it forward within society is to call evil good and good evil. And that's what Christians are constantly being pressed on and intimidated into, or subtly called to start to express. Can't you just tweak these things so that you can be more agreeable? It would sound much nicer if you just said it like this, or you said this instead of what you're saying. So it's a distinction between worldly wisdom and godly wisdom, but ultimately we can go deeper than that. It's not just a question of where we get our values in terms of wisdom, because individually and then worked out collectively, it's an issue between fearing man versus fearing God. Who are you going to fear? Who guides you? Who sets the course and direction for how you respond and behave and think?